Hey there, Dr. Mel here. And in this video, I need to share something that may challenge you somewhat and I promise is going to open your mind to new opportunities and new growth experiences. Right now, we are in the summer of 2020. And what I've noticed over the months is that there seems to be many conversations and many disagreements and opinions flying around the social media world. And that's what happens when there's chaos in the culture and upheaval and a revolution-like energy. And oftentimes what I have been seeing in my experience, even friends close to me, is people disagreeing so much on different social media platforms, especially Facebook, where someone will post an opinion and then someone will comment something that's maybe not appropriate, disrespectful, attacking that person. And we're getting to this point in our culture where we can't even welcome opposition and we can't even welcome different viewpoints without getting so triggered and so affected and so emotionally distraught that we get to this point where we can't even be friends with them or we can't even be in the same space as them. Our nervous systems over the last couple months have been completely hijacked, completely emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and culturally hijacked. And these social media platforms and these types of conversations, in my opinion, are only making it worse. So this is a trend that I have noticed over the months where people will disagree and they're not even open to having friends or people on their platforms having a healthy debate or a healthy discussion. And I'm sure you've seen it, right? Where people will post, if you believe this, unfriend me now, or if you act this way, unfriend me now. Obviously, there's a threshold when it comes to unfriending people and not being around people who perhaps breed violent acts or bring about verbal abuse to your experience and they're not treating your boundaries with respect. There's always a threshold. So I'm not saying to be friends or stay in the same place with people that potentially are causing you harm. But what I am saying is that we as human beings need to welcome opposition. We as human beings, yes, need to protect our boundaries and our sovereignty, and we need to protect our own sense of well-being. And this isn't a but conversation, and we also need to be open to different viewpoints and opinions that help us grow. See, here's the thing, is that when you welcome opposition, this creates growth. When you welcome challenge and invite challenge into your life, this creates a level of resiliency and adaptability. But if we back up for a second, our culture has a strong, and even ourselves, our own individual experience, our own brain mind, we have this thing called confirmation bias based on our own beliefs. And confirmation bias is the experience where our brain is constantly seeking things, whether it's research, experiences, people's posts on social media. Our brains are constantly searching for things that confirm what it is we already believe, because our beliefs are how we operate. Our beliefs guide our everyday actions and our everyday choices. Our beliefs are really who we are, down to what we do every single moment of every single day. So we will look for things in the world to confirm what it is that we already believe. Because I don't know about you, but anytime that my beliefs have been totally confronted and totally shattered and disarrayed and totally reorganized, it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to have these fundamental beliefs completely uprooted, like deep generational stuff completely uprooted and totally disorganized into a blank slate. It's very uncomfortable to the nervous system. And so we as human beings have this thing called confirmation bias, and it's honestly, you're never going to be able to avoid it. But what you can do, and what I want to talk to you in this video about, is ways that you can start to become aware and welcome challenge into your life, and welcome different viewpoints, and welcome healthy conversations and healthy debates. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to agree with your super liberal uncle. This doesn't mean that you need to agree with your super right-wing grandma, right? This has nothing to do with that. What this does allow you to do is actually be in a space. And I don't just mean physical, but be in some form of energetic space or conversation online, text message threads, whatever it is, even in your own head, right? A lot of this happens inside of our head, in between our own two ears. What these strategies are going to allow you to do is actually be in that space and not feel so triggered, not feel so stressed out. Because I can guarantee you, if you're in this world right now and you get so emotionally triggered from what people post, I guarantee your system is riding on that line of fight or flight, and you're stressed out. And when you're stressed out, your health and well-being starts to take a back seat. So this doesn't mean you agree with them or you take on their actions and be someone who you're not. This is for your own alignment, your own emotional well-being and emotional regulation, because those who can govern their emotions ultimately have the ability to attract more success in any area of their life. So what I want to talk to you about, let's go way back to school when we were studying physics. I don't know about you, but I personally loved physics, and that's part of why I got into what I do when it comes to studying the body and how it relates to the environment and the laws of nature and the laws of physics. So when we think about welcoming growth and welcoming challenge and welcoming healthy amounts of stress into our life, one of the biggest analogies that I teach people is exercise or lifting weights or anything that you're actually putting your body at a little bit of sympathetic tone and a little bit of stress. Here's the thing, when people start to actually understand that when you lift weights, you're actually breaking down muscle tissue. You're actually causing stress on your skeletal system. One of the number one ways that you can increase bone density and increase the osteoblastic activity, big science term, what that means is actually cells that build new bones. One of the best ways beyond just diet and calcium and vitamin D is actually lifting weights. So ladies, listen up. Now, that is welcoming stress into your life. When we add stress and add weight to our body, we actually grow. Another analogy is that when there's storms, if you look at the trees outside, when there's storms around us, those storms create sway within the trees. And in order for the trees to grow taller and stronger and reach their branches out, they have to be able to dig deeper into the ground and dig their roots deeper into the soil. Do we see that type of growth? No. Do you see your bones getting stronger? No. But it's happening. And that is the law of nature that always remains. And we can see that all around us, right? We need the storms and we need the rain for the soil to grow new grass and create things that are green, right? So my point is that when we start to welcome stress and understand that challenges are part of growth, you cannot have growth without stress and challenge. You cannot have support without challenge. We must welcome all of it. And when we can start to do this in our own physiology, our own nervous system, and our own mind, we become more resilient, we become more adaptable, and we can tolerate certain comments from people and not have it trigger us and not have it emotionally rock our boat. When we learn about different viewpoints, there's 4 different things that I have come to understand that when we actually open our mind and be able to hold 2 different opinions simultaneously in your mind at the same time, even if you don't agree with one, when you do that, this helps you become more well-rounded. This helps you strengthen your own beliefs because you've been able to see the other side and say, you know what? I get it, I see it, and that allows me to actually strengthen this side. Or maybe you start to let go of this one belief and say, I never thought about it that way. Maybe I'll start to actually trend towards this way. So it helps you strengthen your own beliefs. Number 3, it helps you stay open and less defensive. And when we're less defensive and resisting things, we in turn create less stress in our physiology. You know, sometimes that point number 3 comes down to swallowing your own pride. Now, I don't mean that in a sense where you don't speak up for what you believe in a respectful way, but sometimes it takes just sitting back and receiving what that person's saying and truly listening to where they're coming from and asking questions. Number 4, it improves your ability to find solutions in more creative ways. And this, I believe, is something that we need to learn ourselves and in turn teach generations to solve problems more creatively, because they've been able to look at all different viewpoints when it comes to a certain concept, idea, belief, political stance, health stance, whatever it is in our culture. And at the end of the day, here's the thing. As much as you can be in that realm of seeing the bigger picture and seeing the different beliefs and different paradigms and different perspectives, you're human. You're still going to make a choice based on what you believe and what you're aligned with, right? But imagine actually making that place out of alignment when you've opened yourself up to seeing different ways of being and saying, you know what, I get it. And that can actually strengthen your alignment too. Because like I said, at the end of the day, you're still going to have beliefs and you're still going to make choices, because that's what it means to be human. So my question for you, as you watch this, and I'm going to give an example after I asked you this question, is how can we create a world of healthy debates? How can we create a world in which we welcome opposition and healthy discussions that maybe we don't agree? Seriously, like, how can we create this? Let's create this together. We can create this as community. As a doctor and as a practitioner who helped many people who have learned about many different viewpoints of health, and I have my viewpoints and my opinions on health, and I'm not afraid to study the other side. I'm here to offer a different viewpoint. And that this example I want to give is the viewpoint on wearing masks. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole science behind wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, but what I am here to offer in the context of this discussion is wearing a mask. Talking about wearing a mask as an example, what I am here to talk about is opening up your mind to a different conversation that I personally don't believe has been talked about as much. And I would be curious, before I go into this, how you receive this and what you've witnessed in the media and your own research that you've done. Because what I've seen is this viewpoint I'm about to talk about has not been talked about in the mainstream media. And I am not naive to understand that all the media we see on Facebook is not all the news that exists in the world. So when we see people talking about and preaching and sometimes aggressively verbalizing, wear a mask or you're an idiot, or if you're not wearing a mask, unfriend me now, or if you're not wearing a mask, you should go to hell, right? We've seen this. I've also seen it on the other side where people say, if you're wearing a mask, you're an idiot. If you're wearing a mask, you're a sheeple. If you're wearing, it's like this constant attack from both sides, right? And I'm guilty of that. I'm human. When I see someone making a choice that I don't maybe agree with, I have to watch myself. I have to watch my ego. But you know what? I have to understand that person, I don't know what it is they've gone through. I don't know what research or posts or experiences they've had. So they're making choices in the best of their knowledge. Everyone is doing the best they can with the resources they have. And sometimes we haven't been given all the resources or become aware of all the resources that are available to us. And that's what I want to talk to you about right now, is what resources potentially are you maybe not aware of that could be supporting or could support your health and well-being long-term and are actually super cost effective. Again, when it comes back to this example I'm giving in the health and well-being paradigm, especially with what's going on right now in 2020. So imagine this. Imagine this with me. And again, I invite you as I go into this conversation, be open, right? Be open to having a different perspective and adopting a different viewpoint. But imagine this. As people really assertively post about masks, vaccines, stay home, all these different things, imagine if we had a culture that also in the same amount of energy and the same amount of commitment talked about and mandated water. All these things I'm going to name, by the way, have been shown case by case by case studies to actually improve people's health and well-being. and I see it every single day. Now, I'll tangent for a second before we go into this list. Many people will say, depending on the paradigm you live in and the scientific realm that you live in, that certain research is not acceptable, that certain case studies aren't acceptable research. And I will say this, that much of the research that's being done in really any paradigm of health, what do they always conclude? That the research at this time is inconclusive and more studies need to be done. I don't think that statement is ever going to change. The same thing goes with masks, right? A lot of people, the articles that they've been sharing with me, I read the abstract, I read the results, and the conclusions are always, well, this may help, but the research is inconclusive, so more needs to be done, right? So we can say that on both sides. But here's the thing. Many of these things I'm going to talk to you about come back to basic physiology and basic human needs that you cannot deny. And I want to see you go, for example, I'm going to talk about water. I want to see you go 4 days without drinking an ounce of water. Good luck. I don't think you need a research study to tell you that water is going to benefit your health and keep you alive. So imagine this. On top of people posting about masks and assertively posting their opinions about it, what if they also talked about drinking enough water every day to keep your body hydrated and to keep your cells actually metabolizing the way that they need to fight off infections? Or movement. Oh my gosh, all of the research that's been done about movement and exercise and moving your body for your mental health, right? So many people right now are dealing with mental health challenges, staying at home, being isolated, not with their community. Imagine if they talked about that. And not just you, if you're an individual influencer, but these big media corporations. Why don't they talk about it? I'll get to that, I promise. Meditation. Meditation is free. And time again, there's more and more studies and books and research and conferences coming out how powerful meditation is in changing brain waves and changing brain chemistry. And your brain controls the rest of your life, including your immune system, your digestive system, your sleep. Talk about that, sleep. Why don't we talk about the importance of sleep? That when you're stressed out, sometimes sleep can be so helpful. Rather than trying to get more done, rest, digest, and recover and heal. Nervous system regulation. What are you doing? What are we talking about when it comes to regulating your own nerve system, whether it's chiropractic or trauma therapy or tons of different other strategies out there that can actually support your health and well-being and your nerve system regulation. Breath work. That's free. You can't put a price tag on that. Of course, unless you're a practitioner and you have a program to teach people, that's fine. What about Whole Foods? I mean, you can go to Whole Foods, you can go to Mississippi Market, you can go to all these different markets and pay for real whole food. Before you continue this video, I want you to pause, go to Google and type in what types of foods have been shown, scientifically shown and proven to support the immune system. Look it up, put it in your diet. We're not talking about that. And here's the thing, you could go buy your own seeds and plant it in your garden. That's way cheaper. It's a lot more work, but it's way cheaper. So you don't have to give money to other corporations that maybe you don't agree with. What about studying behaviors and actions and beliefs that actually impede your body's own innate ability to defend itself, its own defense mechanisms? What about things that actually impede and interfere with our body's strength in fighting off foreign invaders? Things like alcohol, smoking, verbal abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, being in a bad relationship, being in a job that stresses you out. I've said this in many of my videos before, but stress, when it comes to distress, increases cortisol, increases adrenaline, because your body thinks that it needs to fight or flight and run from a saber-toothed tiger. As that cascade happens in our body, we weaken and dampen the immune cells and the immune response. Why? Well, in the moment that your life is being threatened, the last thing your body cares about is fighting off the common cold. It'll get to it eventually, unless you're stuck in a fight or flight response all the time. Think about it. If you're on social media and you're scrolling, be really curious to watch your heart rate, really curious to watch your cortisol levels. So maybe what you do is you take a break, get off social media, and maybe just pause for a second on, Uncle Ken or Aunt Karen. Trying to add a little humor to this. So what about studying that? Why don't we talk about that? Sunlight and vitamin D. The more I am paying attention to what's actually being shared in the media, the more I'm actually finding and seeing that people who have high levels and healthy levels of vitamin D have a higher chance of fighting off the coronavirus than people who don't. Now, someone who is born and raised and lived in Minnesota for 30 years, I have had to learn how to get my vitamin D other than the sun, especially for approximately 6 months of the year. So again, that's through diet, through additional supplementation. Again, sunlight and vitamin D, free, unless, again, you're getting it through food or you're buying supplements, which vitamin D3 is super cheap. Again, more videos on that. Do your research. Other supplementation, social and emotional support, having an emotional system, an emotional support group where when you're having a tough day, you don't feel alone and isolated and that you can't take on what it is life is presenting you with. So, what would it look like? All those things I listed off, many of them which are free or super cost effective, long-term strategies of healing, long-term strategies of building your defense system from the inside out. What would it look like? Just pause for a moment, close your eyes as you listen to this. What would it look like to mandate those? If your government, your health practitioners, your friends were mandated to do those things every day, what would that look like? There's many other things right now that are being mandated or talks of things being mandated. And it's, in my opinion, I think it's fair to look at that and say, wait a second, where's my say? Where's my choice at this? I don't ever want to force anyone to do anything. I don't want to force you to eat mangoes and run a mile a day and sit in the sunshine. I will share with you, though, that your life will probably improve. And that's what I see every day in my office and the people that I care for. Have I submitted those cases to research and put it out into the CDC and all that? No. But I have testimonial after testimonial after testimonial when I teach people in my community these things to add into their life for either one, working with me and investing in me, or taking on their self, and or, it's an and or, more of an and, taking on these things on their own, which many of them are super cheap. I see time and time again people's lives improve and change and transform and have a deeper adaptability within their system, a deeper resiliency, and in turn a greater tolerance to the potential triggers of life. My clients start to see that these challenges that once were in their family or people on their social media platforms are now just an opportunity to expand and to grow and to be like, you know what? I see that. It's all good. They're much more at ease and relaxed because they're confident within their own body mind. Now, as I said earlier, Dr. Mel, why aren't those things talked about? And my thought on this, and I know a lot of other people would agree, and again, keep your perspective open, keep your mind open, is that many, if not all of these things, bigger companies cannot profit from. Period. Many of these companies now are profiting off of you wearing a mask, us wearing masks. Got these cute Louis Vuitton ones and these cute flower ones, and all these companies are profiting in a pandemic. They're profiting off of you. Just a thought. If these companies were to tell you, hey, do all these things and see your life change, are they going to profit? Probably not. Probably not. So that leads to my ending statements here of things, again, to recap what we talked about. If you are going to wear a mask, and there's certain cities and states and places that you do need to wear a mask. Yes, I get it. And again, I'm not saying don't wear a mask, but I'm saying, what would it look like to do these other things in your life? If you are going to wear a mask, support your local mask maker, please. Or if you know what your company stands for that you're purchasing things from, do they honor the BIPOC community? Do they have values that require equality and actually looking at what's happening in our world? Look into the companies you're purchasing stuff from. And if you don't know, maybe pause and say, you know what? I'm going to go local. Support your local mask maker. I know I did. Number 2, be open to other viewpoints that may challenge you. That's what we talked about. Be open. Number 3, be open to looking at long-term strategies. I'm not here to say that you need to adopt all these things now. In fact, it is a process. It is not a quick fix. And this culture has conditioned us into quick fix, massive profit strategies that, in my opinion, are destroying the culture, and it's making us weaker. My opinion, okay? Number 4, before you post or delete your friends or snap at them, just pause for a moment. Just pause. Get out of your hamster wheel, get out of your fight or flight. Just pause and say, you know what? I wonder what this person's going through. Maybe they are dealing with something that I don't know about. Chances are they are. Or maybe their upbringing was really challenging and this is how it's manifesting. Just take a moment and have a little empathy for people. And again, this is something that I need to practice too, because I can be quick to judge. I can be quick to get a little fiery. So this is my practice just as much as it is your practice. Pause, take a moment to maybe consider what that person has gone through. Or, this is a big one today, or have a conversation with them. Ask questions. Ask questions where they're coming from. Hey, where did you get that research? Hey, what makes you think this? Or why do you believe that? I'm not asking you to be condescending or to put you down. I really just want to know. Let's get curious as human beings about why it is what we do. Let's get curious about our own upbringing. Let's get curious around why we do certain things and why you may do one thing and I do another. Let's get curious about our beliefs, which many of them, I'll leave you with this, many of those beliefs, you probably have no idea how, why, or when you adopted them. And they may not even be your own. And until you start to dissect why you do what you do, why you believe what you believe, until you start to dissect that, you may never know. So I invite you to start dissecting that. I invite you to start looking at, why do I believe this? Why do I act that way? Your consciousness will change, and in turn, your life will change. I hope this brought you value today. If it did, share it with a friend. Share it with a friend who maybe they do get a little trigger heavy. Share it with someone who is feeling down. Either way, I'm here to support you. I'm here to support your friends and your family, your enigmas, your acquaintances, and the people who piss you off. I'm here to support all of you. And I'm here also to receive your feedback and what you think. I think that's how, in my opinion, that's the best way we can grow, is being open to other viewpoints and welcoming opposition. If you haven't already and you like what you're hearing from me and you're liking these videos, comment below what you want to hear. I'm here to support, I'm here to educate, empower, and teach. Comment below, like, subscribe, hit the little bell so you can be the first to know when I release fun, fiery videos just like this one. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, peace, love, and keep inspiring.